All right, welcome back. It's our GMC Sierra tweet of the night. Here we go. College football playoff first released, hot off the press. It's the top 25, and lo and behold, Ohio State is number 1, followed by Georgia 2, Michigan 3, Florida State, Washington, and then on and on. Penn State is down there at number 11, but Penn State still has Michigan left. Things can happen there, but Andrew, I'm a little surprised that Ohio State jumped Georgia in this for some reason. I looked at the resumes, I see what I saw, but I think Georgia should be number 1.
Well, that's by the old, someone's got to beat them before we change our opinion on them. When you've won back-to-back national championships, you're undefeated. No, by the way, they just crushed Florida in a rivalry game over the weekend. You know, this is so hard because the eye test, or what's in my head right now, like, who do I think is the best team in America? It probably is Georgia, Bob. But if you go by what have teams done to this point, like if we're just saying it's a clean slate, this year is just in a vacuum, I think you're hard-pressed not to have Washington won because they beat the number 6 team, Oregon. And if you actually look at it, the Pac-12 has probably been the best conference in college football
Isn't
this
that
year.
amazing?
Now,
very ironic. They're going to be torn apart, but you're right. The best college football is played in the Pac-12 right now.
I mean, I don't actually think, and they've kind of the last 2 weeks barely beaten mediocre teams. But if you should go by the resume, they should probably be number 1 because I think they put Ohio State 1 because they beat Penn State, and I don't think that's enough to go by.
Well, it's early. There are a lot of things going to happen, a lot of headbanging going on in the next few weeks. Let's go to the lines, Andrew. JS, or no, is this JB in Shadyside? What's up, JB?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you?
Hey.
All right, so we had a great GM with Rutherford, you know. He's doing a great job in Vancouver. And I know he wanted to break that team up, and they listened to Sullivan. And he said, no, I don't want to trade any of these big guys. And now we're just stuck with this. And the same thing with the Steelers. It's like Tomlin has way too much power over the personnel. And it's just because you're a good coach doesn't mean that you can assess talent. And these teams need to distinguish that. Okay?
JB is our number 1 Cochran Go One Better call of the night. Thank you for that, JB. As far as the Penguins are concerned, Kyle Dubas pretty much did everything I think that Mike Sullivan wanted. He had been here longer. He knew these guys better. I'm a little surprised that Dubas went not only, into Tristan Jarry and decided to bring him back, but he went hook, line, and sinker, brought him to a 5-year deal. And he's had history with not knowing exactly which goaltender he should go with. That goes back to Toronto days. But, they double down on what they believe they are. The problem with that is what they are is a team that's missed the playoffs 5 years in a row, much like the Steelers. You double down on that sort of offense, and you don't get it when you're up 5-on-3 in the last 2 minutes of a game, you got problems.
I have no problem with the Penguins' decision to keep that big 3 intact. Sidney Crosby is still a point-per-game player and one of the best two-way players in the NHL. Malkin's coming off of a really good year, one of his better seasons. He played all 82 games in 2023. And then Letang had a star-crossed year where he had a stroke and his dad passed away. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a free pass for what happened last year. I don't think those 3 guys are the problem. I'm sorry, I don't. I think the goaltending is a huge bugaboo and issue. And I also think even though they've traded a lot of first-round picks, they have not developed good young players. And I'm not just saying develop guys to play on your first line and score 30 goals. I'm talking about developing guys to play in your bottom 6, in your bottom defensive pair, and filling out the depth of your team. And that has really, I think, been a massive failing of this organization over the last few years. And some of that falls on Sullivan, Bob, not because he drafts the players, but because there's a severe reluctance on his part to give those guys an opportunity to play at the NHL level.
Which is ironic because he used a lot of those guys to win 2 Stanley Cups when he was back in 2016 and 17. The other thing is I think they're also, this is a problem because they traded a lot of number 1 picks. They did not get a lot of high draft equity, and so therefore you don't expect to bring back guys like Connor Bedard, of course, or even a guy like Mason McTavish. You got to have higher picks. They don't have them, and they haven't been able to cash in on 2nd, 3rd round picks as they once did. So all of that rolls into one. But if you're going to double down on this kind of team, which is fine, and from that point of view, I didn't have a problem, but you better make sure that you take advantage of the one strength you have and that's a power play. And so far, that's not been the case. Let's go out to Regis in Castle Shannon. Hey, Regis, go ahead.
How you doing, guys?
Good. What's up, man?
Hey, Reg.
Okay, I want to real quick about Sullivan. He better watch what he asked for about change because he might be part of the change. Then I want to get to the
I don't think that'll happen.
Steelers and the field goal kicker Boswell. But he's 12 for 12, 36 points on field goals, and then I think 7 touchdowns. He got more than half the Steelers' offense in points, which is great.
Not necessarily.
They need to get rid of their punter. I
Well,
mean, he's bad.
You know, and that's a game like Thursday, for example. The guy from Tennessee just came off a remarkable game where he had a 72-yard punt, a 66, 6 punts inside the 20. Field position when you're playing this sort of game, Andrew, is huge. And last week, Harvin wasn't good enough. But as far as Boswell, yeah, you expect that. Yes, it's a luxury, but you shouldn't rely on it all the time at the expense of touchdowns. They got to score more touchdowns.
Of course. Yeah, Chris Boswell should be used like a Justin Tucker, where he's a guy late in games you trust to make picks, but he shouldn't be the main output where you go for your production offensively, where you're settling for field goals. In most cases, they're not even doing that. They're going 3 and out, and their starts to games are just pathetic. And I don't see any end in sight to that because I don't think they're really pushing the envelope. I don't think that there's a philosophical shift over there. Something big's going to happen that's going to lead to that, Bob. I just don't.
We got to take a break here. We'll come back with more. It is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call with Bob Pompeani and Luigi Fillipponi, all next on 93.7 The Fan as well.